All right. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us for Maxi weekly review here, or another week in review rather. We haven't posted a video super recently, so we thought today we're going to focus on the big picture items, and that's going to be Bitcoin and Ethereum for the crypto markets, and then the SPY and the QQQ for the stock markets. So let's take a look right and dive straight into Bitcoin here. And you can see here on our chart,
Yeah.
we've been running up on this bull market trend for quite a while. It's been exciting. We got our ETF approval kind of pumping us on the way. I think we recently got also over in Asia approval for a spot ETF for
Hong
Bitcoin.
Kong, yeah.
Yeah, over in Hong Kong today. Yeah, today actually on Monday. So yeah,
Yeah.
that news came out today. So nice. And then now we're really getting close to the Bitcoin halving event here. April 20th is kind of like what people are anticipating. That's about 5 days from right now when we're talking. And so volatility is kind of kicking in a little bit as the halving event draws near. I think it's a lot of people expect this to be kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news event, and that's kind of in line with I guess what the chart has been doing. Like that run up is the buy the rumor, and then so now people are kind of
Yeah.
anticipating a bit of a pullback here for the sell the news event. But looking
Which
at
is
yeah
which is what is doing because
yeah
so I have the Bitcoin chart here, and this is the weekly chart. So uh you know two indicators we mainly use is like, of course, our trading buddy indicator. That's
hmm
a custom indicator. It tells you what the trend is going to be by signaling bull or bear. Bear just means like we've topped out and we're going to go down. Bull means we're going to go up, and
hmm
we have what's called a strength band, which like shows you the strength of the move, and also it acts as support in an uptrend, and it acts as like resistance in a downtrend.
yeah
So that's the main indicator we use. And I also sometimes like to use the stock RSI.
hmm
uh, that just like shows you how much gas is left in the tank, if you want to think about it that way.
yeah
And why and the thing is, it looked kind of overbought or topped out. So you can see around here, like it started flipping and going down.
yeah.
So the pullback was pretty expected because like the market looked overbought, and
Yeah,
that's
here
what
on the
it's
weekly
done.
chart looks like it needs to kind of cool off as the SRSI was approaching that overbought range, and now that you can see it's starting to like halfway back down into like the middle of its
Yeah.
SRSI range, and
Yeah.
you have drawn out these support lines too, and
These
it's
support lines are like based off the monthly chart, actually, because if you look at it, the monthly close last month
oh
closed
yeah
bullish, and the quarterly also closed bullish. But the stock again, the SRSI
mm,
looked like flatlined, and it's only natural for it to pull back a little bit to cool that off. And
yeah
also basically like SR flip the monthly support,
yeah to confirm the
basically like
breakout is kind of the goal here because so like when you
that.
if you could think of those two red lines as like the previous kind of cap on the bull market, so you can see that's how high we got
Yeah.
last time, right? And so
Yeah.
that's going to be where like basically anything above that you could expect basically everybody is in profit. So anybody who has bought these assets when we're above these marks has the opportunity to take profit, and so there comes this like sell pressure from that. And
Mm.
basically, what we want to see is not just breaking out above it like we've now done, but we want to see breaking out above it and then withstanding that sell pressure as people start to take profits, but
Yep.
maintaining the price above it. So what we want to see is like we want to bounce on those lines to then move up into the next kind of bull market cycle there.
Yeah. So like basically expect something like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for it to like continue the bullish trend is like, yeah. So I mean, so like it's nothing to worry yet. Like this was kind of expected,
Yeah.
and it's just doing its natural thing of like SR flipping, and then only to make hope, to make new highs after this. And like on the weekly, we have a strength band, so we actually have a lot of room. Even if we dip below that, like we still, as long as it stays above the strength band, we should be uh in a bullish
Still
trend.
in a bullish trend. Yeah, I think that's a big kind of like takeaway here from looking at these charts right
Yeah.
now is that yeah, in the last few weeks or so, we have been starting to see red market movement, and as you know, the lead up to those few weeks have been all green for like the last year almost at this point.
Yeah.
It kind of scares some of the
Exactly.
new participants or some of even the more weathered participants in these markets can get a little like scared out like oh we've gotten like multiple days or weeks
Mm-hmm.
of red in a row now, and you
Mm-hmm.
start getting like the PTSD flashbacks from the bear market where your portfolio took a beating, and
Yeah.
so you know that's kind of like good to kind of zoom out to these weekly and monthly charts and to be able to see that like oh yeah we're still well above our strength band, we're still like very much in this green bull trend, and we
Yeah.
still have a good amount of space between you know where that strength band would say hey this is where we need to be bouncing in order to stay within this green bullish trend.
Yeah.
And so you know it's nice to know that hey we can pull back a little bit, sell off a little bit, cool down, but still be bullish
Yeah.
and be in a bullish
Exactly.
move.
So I think like we anticipate like that there's still a little more room on the SRSI. So like maybe this week and maybe next week too, like, we're still going into a downtrend, and then we should slowly start seeing it form a support base
Yeah.
before the next leg starts up. I mean, and also like by then the halving should also be over. So like,
Yeah, the
and
halving,
then
and then we have new ETFs approved. We have like what is it, runes coming online for Bitcoin. Like, there's a lot of exciting stuff going to continue to
right.
like push that space. So,
So
I
yeah,
our
from
perspective
the
here is what's the bull market's not over. Bull market's
yeah,
cooling off, and it's an expected cool off. Pretty much everyone that's been
exactly.
tracking these you know big events is also you know expecting to sell the news, and this is very much in line with that. The timeline of it is all working out. None of this
Exactly.
should be shaking you out of your conviction if you have invested into these assets and you want to like participate long term. That long term picture is still very bullish,
Yeah, exactly.
even
So
if the
we just
last 2 weeks weren't.
exactly. So like, it probably is gonna like keep dipping and then like start forming a base once the SRSI, is like completely like oversold,
Yeah,
which should happen in the next few weeks, I
yeah,
think,
like two
looking
three
at where it
weeks.
is. Yeah, exactly.
Ethereum
So
has a little bit like has come down a little bit more aggressively. You can see the SRSI is already approaching
yeah,
oversold, and you can see we're also getting closer to the strength
the
band from
strength
our
band.
trading buddy. So that is again, you know, closer but still very much above and very much in the bullish area. So
Exactly.
and then
So
how do you think that's going to affect the stock
yes.
markets too?
Yeah,
Like
so stock market, here's what the weekly chart. Here on the left side we have the
oh
S&P 500, the SPY, and on the right we have the QQQ, which is basically the Nasdaq.
yeah
And if you look at it, the SPY is like, is pulling back and
yeah
dropping. And similarly, with the SPY and the QQQ, you can see the SRSI, or the stock RSI, was like topped out, and
yeah
then it
for a
flipped
while.
and went into a downward
Yeah.
trend. Yeah, it was like topped out for a while, so it
It
was just
needed
like a matter of time
it
till it
needed
cools
this
off.
cool off, and then again the cool off still while it looks pretty drastic from the like close up of like the last few weeks or even like month or so,
Mhm.
it really isn't that big of a sell off in the big picture here. We're still well
Yeah,
above
like if
old
you
time
look,
highs from the previous peak.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So like how the lines that I've marked out is basically the last line, like is where like the monthly support is. So I mean, so like the quarterly also just like closed, and then the monthly also closed. So it's only natural for it to pull back.
yeah.
And again, SR flip, that's it. All it's trying to do is like do an SR flip.
Yeah. So
And so like
it's likely going to
long,
pull back for the next few weeks and then make it to that monthly support.
exactly.
By which point the weekly SRSI will also be very oversold and we'll be
Yeah.
ready for that next bounce. And then that's hopefully, you know, the bounce happens at monthly support, which then confirms the breakout of that trends line and confirms that it has in fact flipped from resistance into support. And then we can
Mhm.
move the next leg up in this bull market.
Yeah,
This is very
exactly.
much,
Because like it's interesting that the supports also line up with our
yeah,
indicator strength band. So it should that area should hold if we are still in a
Yeah,
long-term
if we want to remain
bullish trend.
bullish, exactly. So
Yeah.
if basically what we want to watch those areas for is to maintain our long-term sentiment. So if those areas don't hold and we start closing full days and full weeks below that mark, then we can reassess and maybe shift maybe to
Risk
a
off.
more maybe a more short-term kind of like, or a short exposure position rather.
Yeah.
It's definitely, all of this stuff is definitely just from watching the charts at the moment. We're looking at the charts, seeing what the charts are saying and what the charts want to do. There's of course quite a bit of real world like news that's happening lately. There's a bit, obviously
Yeah.
there's a lot of unrest and a lot of uncertainty that comes with that, and there will always be news that will be easily correlated with what's happening in a market. On a good day, there will always be good news. On a bad day, there will always be bad news. And so,
But we just
sticking to the
trade the
charts,
chart because yeah, like it already looked like the market was going to pull back, whether it's crypto or stock.
yeah,
So like, of course, like so like I mean, like the chart kind of showed us that like it's already going to happen. So
yeah,
that's why we're not panicking
yeah.
yet
It's
or
not.
anything.
It doesn't feel like we need to. We're not seeing necessarily market activity that is reactionary to world events.
Hmm.
This seems more
Hmm.
like market activity that was projected by the chart activity, and doesn't seem outside of the norm. And so, again, I'm not super shaken out by it, and I'm gonna do what I've always done and stick to the chart and watch the chart versus trying to make my investment decisions based on news and world affairs.
Right.
So that's always something to keep in the
So
back of your mind. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, it is all
keeping
about
control.
watching the charts. And so we're going to keep our eyes on this. These are the big tickers to watch. Obviously, we were looking at like, the big indexes and also the big blue chip cryptos. Next time we come on, we'll look at a little deep dive at some more like specific assets and kind of like break some of that stuff down. But thanks for joining us again today. I know it's been a little while, so I'm glad we got to look at some of these like big market moves and make a few predictions here on what's happening. So let's see how these predictions fare next time. Until then, stay safe and have fun.